Hey guys, Lady Lee here from ladyleeshome.com, and in this video we are going to make challah bread and challah buns. Challah is a traditional Jewish bread that we make every Friday for our Friday night or Shabbat dinner. There's really no Friday night dinner that is complete without challah bread. It is made of pretty simple ingredients that, easy to come by, nothing very special, but it is a sweet and soft bread that is a great addition to really any dinner. And if you like French toast, it's the best bread to make French toast from. So I am going to show you how to mix the dough, and then really from there we're going to keep it simple and make challah braids, just really simple braids. Or we can also make buns. If you want to learn a few more different ways to tie challah bread, something that is a little bit more fancy and creative, then there is the printed recipe and a picture tutorial of how to make the dough and how to tie the bread in different ways on the blog, and I will include that link below in the description of the video. We are gonna use bread flour. Don't use all-purpose flour because I feel like the dough kind of cracks a little bit when it's baked in the oven when you use all-purpose flour. So bread flour is better for this kind of bread. We're gonna use half a cup of oil. I'm using canola oil. You can also use vegetable oil. It doesn't really matter. A table and a quarter of dry yeast. 2 eggs. I'm using duck eggs here because they're amazing in any kind of baked goods, but chicken eggs will do good too, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna use 3 teaspoons of salt and 3/4 of a cup of sugar, about 2.5 cups of water. I'm gonna add the water as the ingredients are mixed in the mixer. So really our first step here is to put all of the ingredients in the mixer and mix them for about 10 minutes to form the dough. Our dough is ready, so I'm going to transfer it into a mixing bowl so we can let it rise. A couple of things that I need to tell you that I didn't mention before. First of all, I did sift the flour, so you'll always have a better result if you take a minute to sift your flour, so do that. I ended up using about 2 cups of water, so I didn't need all 2.5 cups, about 2 cups of water, and I added gradually, and this is kind of changes between flour to flour. Some flours will need a little bit more water to come together and some a little less. So the recipe is calling for 2.5, but added gradually until the dough is formed. And the last thing that you might be wondering is why I didn't bloom the yeast. And honestly, I usually don't bloom the yeast. I just put everything in the bowl together and let the mixer work and mix it for about 10 minutes. You can bloom the yeast if you want to, but I usually don't. Okay, so now that the dough is ready, I'm going to take a little bit of oil with a kitchen brush and just oil a mixing bowl, a large mixing bowl, and we will move the dough over here. So you can see the consistency of it. it's not too sticky, but it's very soft. And we'll just kind of form it into a ball. And put it in the mixing bowl in the center. I'm gonna dust it with a little bit of flour, just so if it touches the plastic wrap, it doesn't all get stuck to it. And then I'm gonna cover it, and we need to let it rise for 40 minutes to an hour approximately. Another option is to make this dough the night before you want to make the bread and stick it in the refrigerator and let it rise in the fridge overnight. That's kind of like a make ahead trick that works with this bread. But I am going to probably put it outside on the porch. It's about 85 degrees now. You want to find a warm place. If your house is cool, then you might need a little bit more than an hour. The dough is ready. So what we're going to do now is just divide it. And I think we're gonna make 2 loaves and however many buns that we can get from here. Just moving this into a floured surface. And usually when I divide it, just to make sure that my loaves and my buns are all baking at the same time, I weigh the pieces just to make sure they're approximately the same size. So I start by dividing it into 4. All right, now we're gonna make the loaves first, and this is pretty simple. All we gotta do is take 1 part and divide it into 3. Here I also usually measure with a scale. This is a little too much. All right. Now we work every piece. Just like that. And then braid it. I'm just going to do a simple braid. Kind of tuck the ends. Just like that. And put it on my baking sheet. I'll do the same with the next piece of dough. You can also, if you want, put it in a loaf pan, but I usually like to leave it just like that. It will kind of expand. We're going to leave it to rise a little bit more before we bake it, but that's kind of like freestyling it. But you can also put it in a bread pan. So we'll make 2 of those, and then these parts we're going to divide into buns. And we're just gonna make simple buns, but again, you can do all kind of fancy things and tie it in fancy ways. This is about 4.3 ounces for each piece. All right, so to make the buns, I like to bake the buns in a casserole dish, but you can also do it on a regular baking pan, baking sheet, that's fine. I kind of move the dough around to close it at the bottom. Roll it around a little bit and place it in the dish. That's all it takes. So just like that, we have our buns, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna let the dough rest and rise for another 30 minutes or so, and then we're gonna brush it with egg, sprinkle some sesame seeds, and bake it in a 350-degree oven. The buns probably about 20-25 minutes, the loaves a little bit more, maybe until everything is golden. It took a little longer, about 30 minutes for the buns and 35 for the loaves, but there you have it. We have beautiful challah buns and a couple of loaves. All that we gotta do now is take them out of the pan and put them on a rack to cool. And that's it. This bread is really delicious served when it's warm. All you really need is a little bit of butter, but it can also freeze very well, so that's another option. And look at this. It's beautiful, very holiday, festive, weekend kind of, I don't know. It just reminds me of Saturdays because we make it all the time on Friday night. So it's kind of what the bread that is around the house during the weekend for me. I hope that this video was helpful. Again, the link to the blog post is below the video in the description. There are a few really nice fancy ways to tie this bread. This dough is very easy to kind of mess with. So I hope you'll give it a try. Let me know if you liked it, and I'm pretty sure you will love it. Another thing to remember is if you like French toast, just slice a loaf and use that for French toast. It's a really great bread for that. That's it, guys. I'll see you in the next video.